Hello everyone, and welcome back to another session of Dark Souls 2 PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using the Channeler's Trident, and I've got to say I am really enjoying it. It is a fantastic weapon that you can get from the crows by trading the smooth and silky stones, and it is one of the rare weapons that you can get from them. And I've got to say, it's definitely worth trying to get. It really is. Now, this weapon, it requires 11 strength and 15 dexterity. It has an E scaling in strength and a C scaling in dexterity, so it's really not doing too good on its scalings. The physical base damage is 247 at +9, and the attack rating is 355 with a Ring of Blades +2. So that's a 305 with it, or without it rather. And, you know, that's really not too great, but it makes up for it in other ways. Now, the counter damage on the weapon, the counter strength is 130, the poise damage is 20, and the weight is 4 units. So overall, pretty straightforward. What makes this weapon unique? Well, there are two things. First off, you've got this little dance. This dance in Dark Souls 1 would actually buff your allies. It would have no effect on you. But, as you can see, I have a little glowy aura around me, and that means this buff actually does affect me, which is definitely a good thing. It doesn't really give you too much of a bonus. I only noticed a difference of about 20 damage or so against certain enemies when I was doing the testing, but, you know, every little bit helps, and I'm not going to complain. So, it's probably giving me, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how the defenses and everything work. I can't exactly say. I'm not sure if it's a percentage-based thing or what, so all I'm going to say is it does give you a bonus to your damage output. Not too much of a bonus, but it is still there. Now, as you've noticed a few times, my R2 attacks are kind of interesting when one-handed. They spin. The tip of the spear spins, and that causes a few things to happen. First off, it causes the damage to build up for every time it spins, and second, because of the way poise is working at the moment, it stuns the opponent and catches them in the spin. If you hit them once, you hit them 3 times. And that's a very, very good thing for this weapon, because it makes it easy to build up damage despite having a low attack rating and low damage output per attack. I mean, against this guy I'm hitting like hundreds, and my 1R2 did right around 490, I think is what it ended at. So it builds up very nicely. The rolling attacks also spin, and you want to hit your opponent with just the tip so you can get them with the little spin move, and that is a good thing. It's a good time for you. Not so good for your opponent, but it makes good things happen. So, I would have to say that the biggest pro of this weapon would probably be the R2 attacks, actually. Now, a lot of people would probably say that it's the R2 when you are two-handing it to give yourself a buff and to give your allies a buff. I'm sure a lot of people would say that that is the biggest pro, but it doesn't really do too much for you this time around. It might do more for your allies. I didn't actually have a chance to test how well it works for them, but I'm assuming it would work very well for them. Probably similar to how it did in Dark Souls. I mean, I'm sure they can't give you too much of a personal buff, because then you'd be able to combine too many different personal buffs with this thing, and that'd be scary. But it still is something, and that's still worth mentioning. But yeah, the biggest pro would definitely be the one-handed R2 and the rolling attacks, because of the little spin move that you got going with it that can stun your opponent and cause the damage to build up very, very fast. So that's a good thing. The biggest con of the weapon, I would have to say, is probably a tie between the low damage output and the fact that the only way to get this weapon is by trading with the crows, and you need to trade either a petrified something, a small smooth and silky stone, or a regular smooth and silky stone. Actually, I'm fairly certain that the small ones won't give you this weapon, but I'm not exactly sure on that. I feel like they only give you the lower tier drops, and the higher you go up in that ranking, small, normal, and then petrified something, the higher your chance of getting a good drop like a Titanite slab, a petrified dragon bone, or one of the many weapons that you can get. So that's always something to keep in mind. Overall, it's a good weapon, definitely an improvement from Dark Souls 1 as far as more people are able to use it and you can use it effectively on pretty much any build. But anyway, this is the last fight. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy what happens after this fight, and I will see you guys next time.